Hi there folks, welcome to Dunsy's Guitar World. Welcome to another easy top guitar lesson, this time for the song Francine from the album Rio Grande Mud. Now I did a cover of this a couple of years ago, which will probably be up there somewhere. I can never remember is it there or there. So it'll either be there or the link will be there, I don't know. Anyway, someone asked me recently did I have the backing track, because I didn't play along with the original studio track. I created a very simple backing track. Now I will emphasise very simple backing track. So at the end of this lesson video I have included two versions of the backing track. I've included a version without any guitars and a version with rhythm guitars. So feel free to jam along, feel free to add your own solo, feel free to add Billy's solo, because I sure as hell didn't play it properly myself. But I did a bit in the lesson at the end just to quickly go over roughly what he's doing in the solo and maybe what I was doing in the solo, which wasn't correct. So I would say please do learn Billy's version, not mine. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Say someone asked me recently for the backing track, which I'll probably upload to SoundCloud or something like that, and you should be able to download it, or you can just listen to it at the end of this video and maybe audio capture what's at the end of this video. So coming up, a lesson for ZZ Top's Francine. Now I will say there's not a lot in this song, but the way Billy builds his guitars up in the studio version is just a classic work of genius from Mr. Billy Gibbons, as on all ZZ Top stuff. I do hope you enjoy. Cheers for now. So the song starts with this slide from the 11th fret of the G string, 10th fret of the B string, slide the whole thing up one note. And then play the 10th fret on the G and B strings. Maybe a bit of vibrato. Next note is the 11th fret of the A, hammer on to the 12th fret of the A, and then over and play the 10th fret of the D and G strings. So far we have. And you go down and finish that on a C chord, well just two notes of a C chord at the 5th fret G and B strings. So the whole thing is. I'll do that from another angle. And one where you can see my picking hand. Then into the verse. Now the verse is just round a C and a G chord, but it's how you're vamping on this that makes all the difference. So let's look at the simple version, the two chords, and then I will show the embellishments that I think Billy does. So it's just a C power chord on the 3rd fret of the A string, 5th fret of the D string. Over to a G power chord, same frets, to one string down. Back to the C power chord. But the important thing is how he's vamping this. I'll try and show you. When you play the chord, you lift off the string, so there's like a real staccato sort of thing going on. I'll exaggerate it a bit and I'll move the camera angle. So that's the basic chords, just a C power chord and a G power chord. But what Billy does, or what I think Billy does, is this. Back to the intro again. So what that part is, when you're vamping on the C chord, you hit the open C, hammer on from the 3rd fret of the D to the 5th fret of the D, and catch the G at the 3rd fret. So you're just keeping that finger all the way across there, but you're playing this. Got another angle. So you're vamping on the C, just a C power chord. So it's the C, which you're already playing, hammer on from the 3rd fret of the D to the 5th fret of the D, and then the 3rd fret of the G. So you've already got that finger all the way across. And in context, so you're vamping on the C, C that you're already hitting, hammer on from the 3rd fret of the D to the 5th fret, and then the 3rd fret of the G, which your finger's already across. Show you my picking hand. Now when it goes to the G, rather than playing just the G power chord, you can hear the open D and G string, certainly the G string prominently. So I'm just hitting those 3 strings, 3rd fret of the bottom E, so you're getting a G note, open D, open G, like this. And again. Now when you go back to the C, instead of just playing the C power chord, you play this. So the C, you're playing the 5th fret of the D, G strings, and then you hammer on to the 7th fret of the D, keep the 5th fret of the G and the 6th fret of the B. Show you another angle. Then you go back to the G, to the C, back to the intro. Verse again. So on the album you can hear another part underneath the C which goes like this. Then just the C. So what that is, when he's vamping on the C, it's the C power chord. So what he's doing there is, it's just the C power chord again. Now I'm having to change my finger position here because of the way I'm playing the C, but it's the C and then this. So it's just the root note of that C chord you're already playing, and then the first fret of the D, second fret of the D string. So you might need to change position like I'm doing here. So in context it goes like this. What I'll do is I will put those parts together and I'll play through the verse with a bit of the backing track so you can see how they mix together. Now the part just before the solo, like the middle 8 sort of thing, is just an F chord, but I think he plays it way up here on the 10th fret across the D and G strings. And that's just the same part he did at the beginning, so it's just this. And then hammer on from the 11th to the 12th fret of the A back to the chord you're playing. Then it goes back to a C, back to the F again, and finishes on the 12th fret of the G, D strings, just plays a G chord. So the simple version of that middle 8 is this. But the way I did the cover was like this. So I'm catching the C chord rather than going back down here. I'm doing this little run. So that's the 12th fret of the D, slide up to the 14th fret, catch the 12th fret of the G, slide back down to 10, and then quickly go across and catch the 12th fret of the G, 13th fret of the B, that C chord. Zoom in a bit. So in the cover version I didn't do the exact solo. I mean, it's difficult to get the exact phrasing that Billy Gibbons has. I mean, Robert Baker's pretty good at it, but I mean, I'm certainly not anywhere near as good as Mr. Baker, and he's got great hair as well. So what I did was, and I'll put a link below to the reasonably accurate tab of the solo. In fact, it's probably more accurate than I played it. But here's roughly what you should be thinking. So it's all around the 8th fret. Starts with this note, the 8th fret of the top E, and bending up the 11th fret of the B. So it's 3 times, and on the third one you bend with vibrato. And then a pre-bend on that 11th. So play that slowly. So you're bending the 11th fret of the B before you hit it. So you're way up here. and let it down. That maybe wasn't accurate. My pitching there is difficult when you're just doing this in isolation. And then you're doing the same on the 10th fret of the G. You're bending up before you hit it. So that is the 8th fret of the G, hammer on to the 9th fret of the G, over to the 10th fret of the D, and then over to the 8th fret of your top E string. That whole thing is slowly. Now the next part I definitely did not do correct. It's a really fast run that's kind of hard to make out. But if you go by the tab, it's the 11th fret of the B, bend up, catch the 8th fret of the E, back to the 11th fret of the B, pull off to the 8th fret of the B, catch the 10th fret of the G, and then over to the 8th fret of the B, and then roll over to the G, 10th fret of the G. Which is quite difficult to do if you're not, if you're not used to bending and rolling, stuff like that. And then the 10th fret of the D. I'm not 100% sure how this goes, the way Billy plays it, but it sounds something like that. Something like that. The best thing to do is watch Billy playing it and have a look at the tab that I posted below. I think what I did was I did something like this. So I stole a bit out of the solo for Lagrange. So I'll play what I played slowly, but I would say you probably don't want to copy this because it's not correct.